My Generation, brought to you by South Shore Senior News. This is the show that focuses on local health and wellness, financial planning, elder law, senior fitness, and entertainment. However old or young you may be, My Generation would like to help you age well and enjoy yourself doing it. Here are your hosts, Patti, Abbate, and Tom Foye.
Good evening and welcome to My Generation, brought to you by the South Shore Senior News. We are pleased to announce that tonight's show is sponsored by Bertucci's of Hingham. I am Tom Foye.
And I am Patti Abbate.
Patti Abbate.
Top of the evening to everyone out there.
Oh, God, is this going to continue?
No, that's it. That's done.
God, thanks.
I'm done.
Let me keep that in mind. But we have, of course, a great show for you tonight. In just a few minutes, we'll be speaking with the very talented and accomplished Cliff Abbate. You may remember that Cliff was a guest a couple of months ago. We had such a great response, we just had to have him on the show again. So,
Thanks
Cliff,
for having me back.
You're very welcome. Cliff is an author, certified hypnotist, and a behavioral management specialist. Tonight we are going to cover a lot of subject with Cliff, and our phone lines will be open also. So please give us a call at 781-837-4900 during the show. And along with talking with Cliff, you'll also have a chance to win $25 gift certificates to Bertucci's if you are one of the first 3 callers to call in. That is 781-837-4900. And now it is my pleasure to introduce tonight's guest, author, certified hypnotist, behavioral management specialist, part-time sportscaster here at WATD, Cliff Abbate. Welcome, Cliff.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for
it's so
having me
much
back.
fun to see you here. Kind of a crazy night because we're starting a little bit earlier than usual, but
Right.
I think it's really good. We have the best of both worlds. We're sharing our audience tonight, so that's great. So the last time you were here, we talked about all your books, and we talked about past life regressions, and now you're setting up a weekly hypnosis stress management group. Tell us about that.
Well, everybody has stress in their lives, and it seems like stress is even getting worse. And so I've been doing a Saturday morning stress management group at the Norwell Athletic Center around 10:30 a.m. But then I realized that by using Zoom software, I could actually reach the whole United States if I wanted to and help a lot of people out. So every Monday night, I am going to start running these stress management groups online.
How exciting is that? Online stress management groups.
Right. I can have up to 100 people per session. So
Maybe you can get Kim Jong on that thing and straighten him out.
I don't know if I can go all the way there.
Well, you just said
He said
Zoom.
the United States.
Oh,
I'm
that's
kidding.
all right.
Yeah.
I probably could, but
Yeah.
Can we do that live in the second half of the show?
That would be great, wouldn't it?
All right, that's good.
actually,
Plan
if
for
I do
it.
get them, we should do it on live on the radio. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be fun.
I know you just started enjoying talking on the mic, but we got to go to break, Cliff.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
That was fast.
I know. Time flies when you're having fun. Coming up, we'll hear more from our guest, author, certified hypnotist, behavioral management specialist, part-time sportscaster, Cliff Abbate. But first, a word from our sponsors. Good evening. You're listening to My Generation, brought to you by the award-winning South Shore Senior News here at 95.9 FM WATD. We are your hosts, Tom and Patti, and we are back with Cliff Abbate. So, about that hypnotizing
yes.
of Kim Jong, what do you say?
If I can get it to happen, we're going to do it live on the radio.
Can you
right.
hypnotize Diane Lane to call into my show?
I'd have to find her first.
All right, so this is serious because stress is a huge issue
It is.
for most of us.
It is.
And some of us don't know how to get rid of it.
What do you do for stress release?
I'm not talking about me right now, but I know there are good stressors and there are bad stressors. And the bad ones manifest in ways that really hurt your physical and emotional being.
Right.
I like good stressors that get me energized and get me doing something, like deadlines. When I get home, I'm working on the April issue of the newspaper because
So you say that stress is good for you?
usually, yes, it gets
Because
me
when
to
I'm
do- it
sitting at
gets
my
me
desk
creative.
next to you, I get yelled at a lot.
Well, that's a bad stress because you're going into my head.
But that's
I got
her,
to be the only employee that gets asked to leave.
but that's her stress release by yelling at you.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
she's getting the paper ready to go to print, right? She has actually asked me to go leave. I can't have you talking on the phone or working on the computer. You have to leave. I'm on a deadline.
But,
Well,
you know,
see, the
some people get high blood pressure and sick to their stomachs, and they can't function.
Also, if you're working on your newspaper at 3 a.m. in the morning, that's bad. You're supposed to get a
That's bad.
good night's sleep.
I have been known to do that.
Right.
And then I can't sleep because I can't quiet my mind.
Exactly. And
That's what I need
this
help with.
Stress management is
Right.
all about.
About once a month I get up and I can't sleep. Right, Tom? And I go downstairs and I pace until I am exhausted.
Right.
So how can you help me?
Well, even the stress management online, we can calm everything down. I talked last time about hitting that wall when we try to talk about our lives and everything. And using hypnosis, we can go past that wall, kind of clean out. I always call it like a computer file. You know, you collect all this garbage and everything. So the goal of this is to clean out that garbage. And I do it Monday night so that everybody has the whole work week to, have the benefits of this hypnosis session.
It helps them get through the week.
Right. And then when they're all done, they can come back Monday night and get rid of the stuff.
So
they
now
had
what
last
time
week.
does this happen on Monday night?
Well, there's different time zones, obviously, because it's across the United States. But
But
in
for this-
Massachusetts here,
Right.
we're going to do 7 p.m.
And so if you have a computer or something to get on the internet with, you can log in and be part of this, correct?
You can be. And even if you don't have a camera, you can still do the audio.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And
But-
very reasonable group sessions.
$15.
Wow. You can't beat that.
No,
To get prepared for the whole week,
exactly.
move your stress level way down.
I kind of call it the Weight Watchers of your mind. You know, I'm kind of giving a mind massage here a little bit and helping people out.
Oh, that's great. I know so many people that say they've been helped through this process. And you've been doing it for so long with great success.
I have.
How can people reach you?
You can go to my website, mindbalancehypnosis.com.
Mindbalancehypnosis.com.
Right. And it has all the information on there.
Right. I actually printed off a page. Your photo's there. All the information is here. And it's online. That's a wonderful idea. Is anybody else doing this or?
Not that I know of.
Yeah, it's great. You have the market cornered,
So
Cliff.
I've monopolized this.
That's great. So stress will just melt away. How many sessions does it take really to get to the root of your stress? Or can you do it in one?
Sometimes you can do it in one, but, to maintain it, sometimes, maybe you do need to do it weekly. It depends what situations you're under at work or in your home life or anything. I mean, stress can even, ruin relationships also.
Sure.
And
you're also available for counseling, one-on-one counseling
Private,
as well.
yes.
Okay, so you run the gamut there. And you're located on the South Shore, which is great.
I am. Yes.
Which is great. And I know that last time you were on, we talked about so many interesting things and past life, who we were in past life, and you still do that work.
Right.
And your books here run the gamut from what happens after we die and ghost stories.
Ghost stories. That's what we're going to talk about tonight.
All right, let's
Ghost
talk about
stories.
ghost stories.
So,
You start, you go.
me start? Okay.
Well, I'm sure many people out there have stories or experiences and they don't know how to explain them. I certainly have. And when we say ghost, what does that really mean?
Well, a lot of it are just family members that have passed over also. But some of the ghost stories that I have in my book are also situations with people that I really didn't know. That
You
showed
are
up.
unusual in that way, in that you really have been in touch with people who have moved to the other side
Yes.
through your whole life.
Right. Since I was about 8 years old, I started having a lot of things happening in my bedroom. I was the kid sleeping under the blanket over my head all the time and everything.
And they pass through your room.
They do. Yes.
So is that a vortex, or what would you
I
call
guess
that?
so, because they used to always come in my back door. Finally ended up moving to another room, and then they seemed to come through the window or something. I don't know.
They
always
found you.
me. So, but my second book is called Encounters with the Other Side, My Experiences with After-Death Visitations. And these are actually true stories of everything that happened to me.
And I have read all your books, by the way. Fascinating.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving them to me. I was fascinated. I had to go home and read them all right away.
Good.
Yeah, it was great.
So, and it would be quite interesting maybe to have some callers call in and talk about their ghost stories. Because what I found out with this book is that as more people started reading my books, they said, oh, by the way, I have a story. And I have a story.
I think it triggers something.
It does.
Once you hear or read about somebody else's experience.
It does.
It really does.
Definitely.
So call us up with your ghost stories.
That's right. Call up 781-837-4900. Hey, what's the worst that can happen? You get a gift certificate to Bertucci's. Food's good. If you go to the one in Hingham, bartenders are fun.
So let me tell you something that happened to me. My mom passed away when I was about in my early 20s, and I remember going to a psychic, and she asked me for a piece of jewelry to read from, and she seemed like a real kooky kind of person, and this was maybe in 2001, and she said, oh, your mother is with you all the time, and she told me very generic things, but then she told me, when your mother is getting in touch with you, she will play a song for you. It's the song from the story from the movie Love Story back in the early 70s. Da 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 da. And I said, where would I hear that? Well, sometimes, she said, spirits can come through radio frequencies and things can play. And I said, it's 2001 or 2. I said, that song hasn't been around in 40 years. I'll never hear it. So I remember one Christmas Eve, I was recently divorced. All my family was away. I had nowhere to go. And one of my friends said, come with me. I'm going to a gathering of a friend's house, and it's a big Lebanese family in Waltham. You'll love it. You'll have a lot of great food. So I went over there, and I was having a good time in a very ornate home. And this is a kind of a funny story. I went in to use the bathroom, and I'm sitting there in this bathroom. It's gorgeous. It was ornately decorated with all kinds of gilt and everything. And when I unrolled the toilet paper roll, it had a musical tune inside it. Guess what it was? Da 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 da. Da, da,
That is
da,
so
da.
funny.
And it was months since I had seen the psychic, and boom, it came right back to me, and I knew my mother was with me. And then 3 years later, I was in really a life and death situation. I needed to have a blood transfusion, and on the gurney going into surgery, I had a page pushing me, and his beeper went off, and that's what it was. And I remember my sister Katie was with me, and I said, Katie, Mom's here, Mom's, or something.
Yeah.
So those little things, they mean something. I don't know. Can you absolutely say what they were? Coincidence?
Well, I have a story regarding this radio station, actually.
Oh.
A few years ago, maybe it was about 10 years ago or so, my father was a music producer back in the 1950s and 60s. And I was actually playing a CD in my car at the time. And I heard this voice come over my head that said, turn on the radio. You're going to hear something that you're really going to enjoy. So I shut off the CD and I turned on WATD, and my father's song was being played on the radio.
That's right, your father. You've
yes.
also written a song.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what was your father's song again?
A Casual Kiss.
Casual Kiss, and it was a hit back in the day.
Back in Los Angeles. And but what was that? My father
That's
actually
right.
telling me, take
where
your
else
CD
would you-
out and
yeah.
go listen to the radio.
Amazing.
So those things happen. And they happen a lot more than what people probably talk about.
Well, I think sometimes we dismiss things too.
Of course.
Or just brush it off because it doesn't fit in with our consciousness,
Of course.
and we don't talk about them,
Right.
or we are, I don't know. It's a weird thing.
I live in Scituate right now, and when I first moved into the apartment, I started smelling cigarettes. So I asked my landlady. I said, nobody smokes cigarettes. Where's this coming from? She said, well, my mother used to smoke cigarettes when she was alive. So then I smell cigarettes every so often.
No kidding.
Yeah. And I go, your mother's here. Yeah. So just little stuff like that.
Now, what about this? This is another weird thing that's happened to me in the past. I wake up because I feel, or I I literally feel that someone's sitting on the end of my bed when I'm asleep. And it wakes me up. And I look, I'm not afraid. I don't think someone's broken in. And I don't see an indentation in the bed. I don't see anybody, but it happens.
I had that happen just the other night. I woke up middle of the night and I felt like somebody was looking at me. But I don't know who it was. But if we have time, I can tell you another story about a woman that climbed into bed with me.
Well, I don't know if we want to hear that story, Cliff. But
Oh, that might be a good story. Let him go.
okay, all right, let's hear it.
No, this happened 4 times. I would hear this person walking in from my kitchen, and you could hear her feet tapping on the ground as she's walking through, and then she'd get into my bedroom and hit the side of my bed, and then climb into bed with me. It wasn't a person. I don't know who it was, but I could feel this person laying next to me, and it happened 4 times. And finally, the 4th time, I was able to kind of roll over and look up at her, and I go, "Why are you doing this?" And she goes, "Well, I just like to travel." And I go, "Okay." And I go, "Are you alive or are you dead?" And she goes, "Oh, I'm dead."
Was she hot?
She was okay.
Oh, he's shaking his head in the affirmative.
I remember the good old days, too,
Except usually they were alive, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just wanted to clarify that. Okay.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
So finally I had to get rid of her.
Yeah, it wasn't working out.
It wasn't.
It was a
That's
bad
the tough part.
relationship.
What was the name of the song one more time?
Casual Kiss.
Ron Dwyer may be the only one that has that song in his arsenal.
Probably where I heard it.
Could be. He has so many obscure songs, and he actually brings in all his CDs and records with him when he's here on the
But
weekends.
he knows everything about the song.
He did.
Who wrote it.
He did.
Who copied it. How it was written. Where it was written. Where it peaked. The man is a wealth of knowledge in the music
He's
industry.
a musical genius in that
True,
sense.
he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing that happens is I've seen photos come back with different images in them, and some of them are spheres,
Right.
and some of them actually look like if you could make out a shape. I actually had that happen to me again. You were there
Where was I?
when, after my uncle passed, we were driving by the family home
Oh, in Norfolk.
in Norfolk.
Yes.
And it was...
This is the only... I'm a skeptic, so this is the one time I can honestly say that I experienced something, and then we went back, and there were no tracks from the horse in the fresh snow.
Well, the whole line of the procession after the grave, and this was on a very snowy, cold afternoon, as we're going slowly by the old homestead where my mom grew up, and she and all her siblings were there for, the family was there for about 80 years. As we're going slowly by the house, all of a sudden, this horse with a young female rider appears. And I put my phone out, snapped a picture. When I looked at the photo, the horse has wings.
Really?
Yes,
Wow.
I'll show it to you. And there's this unnatural light going from the ground up to the chest of the horse. And we went back and we couldn't find horse prints later, and we don't know where it came from.
And it was fresh snow from that night.
Wow.
Like 2 or 3 inches. Nothing.
Well, I have a story if we have time.
We have time.
Okay, I wasn't sure when you were going to break me, but,
Well, I'm not going to break you. We're just going to go to break at some point in time.
But I don't know if you ever heard of Topanga Canyon in Los
Yes,
Angeles.
of course, yes.
So back in the 70s, I had 2 friends who passed away. One, his name was Jim, and one name was Kim. And so I'm driving with my friends down Topanga Canyon, and there's 3 of us in the car, and there's this hitchhiker, with his thumb out in Topanga Canyon. So we decided to pull over and give him a ride. And he sat right next to me, and I go, this guy kind of looks like Jim a little bit, but he looks a little pale. I don't know why and everything, but he didn't talk very much in the car. And so we were driving down the road a little bit. Then we had to slow down for maybe a stop sign or something, but the car didn't totally slow down to a stop. And then he jumps out of the car while it's still slightly moving. And so we stopped the car, and the 3 of us all looked behind the car. There was nobody there. But he was sitting right next to me in the car.
Well, that's a good story. I like that.
Yeah, that's
But unfortunately, we have to go to break.
I knew it.
We're not going to break you. We're just going to go to a break for our sponsors. Coming up, we'll hear more from Cliff Aguirre, but first, a word from our sponsors. You'll listen to 95.9 FM, WATD.
The South Shore's breaking news, weather, and traffic station.
WATD FM Marshfield, WATD Brockton, 95.9 FM and 1460 AM.
It was just a casual kiss. Oh, but such a casual kiss. That night you touched
listening to My Generation, brought to you by the South Shore Senior News here on 95.9 FM WATD with your host Tom and Patti, and that was Casual Kiss by Leon Peels. Now, your father, Cliff, wrote that.
He did.
Beautiful song.
Thanks
Truthfully.
for finding that, Jesse.
Yes, Jess, thanks. Good job.
I do what I can.
Back
Oh, it's
into
just
the
YouTube.
archives. That's a nice song.
It is nice.
Very nice. And you have written music as well.
Right, I
So
have.
as we said on the break, you're an all-around great guy.
That's what we said, yes.
That's what we said. So folks,
So if you are single and looking for a date from an eligible bachelor, 781-837-4900, Cliff Aguirre.
And
right.
make sure to bring your psychological profile with you.
Yeah, he's going to make you pay.
now you can't read minds, right? But you are available for the Monday night.
Oh, I was wondering what she was leading into.
No. I want to get this out there. The Monday night hypnosis
Yes.
Sessions, only $15
Right.
online via the Zoom app.
Right, and they can prepay right on my website.
Okay, that's great. And the website again is Mind Balance
Hypnosis.
Hypnotherapy. Hypnotherapy or hypnosis?
Both, but
Both
Mind
go-
Balance Hypnosis is the easiest.
Mindbalancehypnosis.com.
Some people can't do the hypnotherapy when they type.
Right. We'll get you there, and it will give you all the information on these programs and also private practice. And where can we find your books?
On Amazon.
Amazon, all 4 of them.
Right.
Okay. Right now we're kind of having fun talking about ghost stories, things that might give you a pause, but they're really not scary at all when it happens. I don't find. What do
Most of
people
them.
tell you? You must hear things from people.
A lot of them tell me stories about having their loved ones come back and standing next to their bed and everything. So a lot of stories about their family members.
I have another story. When my dad passed in 2004, he was in a hospice on the Cape, and you never really know the time or the day. And I remember it was, I was in sleeping. It was early in the morning, and I remember hearing my father's voice whispering my name in my ear. And I remember waking up, brushing my ear, like, what was that? And I looked at the clock next to my bed, and it was like 4:15. And I just went back to sleep. But I had a very peaceful sense. And a couple hours later, when we got the call, they didn't want to wake us, and they told us Dad had passed at that time. I heard his voice. Is that usual? Do you hear those stories?
Oh, yes. I hear those stories all the time. What I found out was that we're more alert and we're more aware of a lot of the activities that are going on around us than what we want to fully admit. So there's a lot of ways that we tune into each other. And so when your father was probably passing away, you were very in tune to his passing and had a communication with him.
Yesterday I had a communication with Ron Dwyer. Remember we were driving? And I looked at the clock in the car and I said, oh, look at that, Tom. It's 4:44.
Yeah, that's right.
And you said, what are you telling me that for? And we were listening to
Then Ron Dwyer comes on the exact same thing. If I just waited 15 seconds, it would have been 4:44:4.
So he and I were on the same wavelength.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That was a little weird, but it wasn't a ghost story, but it was a synchronicity of some kind.
There's a lot of that synchronicity that goes on in our lives, and a lot of times we just shrug it off. But if we kind of listen, we probably would be aware of a lot more stuff.
And does that have to do with our minds being jumbled with junk?
Or our ego, doesn't want,
Our ego.
they want to keep you in check.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't want you to move too far to the left or too far to the right. I'm not talking about politics. And that's why even when I do my hypnosis, it takes you farther than what the ego allows you to do. And so that's how I can work on a lot of issues that you can't normally work on.
Now, I know the last time you were here, you told us that you self-hypnotize.
I do. I'm able to record my own sessions at home and put it on my iPod and put headphones on, and I get a pretty good session.
So how do you wake yourself up?
And on the session, I actually say, okay, now, when I count to 5, you open your eyes and you wake up.
Okay. Cool.
That's interesting. Did you have to train yourself to do that?
No.
No, it just came naturally.
I just say the same things that I say to my client. The only difference is that I have it on my iPod with my headphones on my head.
So if you recorded that without adding that ending in, would you just go into a coma eventually, or what would happen to you? Starve to death?
Probably no. That's a myth. No, I would actually come out.
Good one, Jess. I like that.
I do what I can.
He's nervous in there.
I might have to hypnotize him
Yeah.
and forget that last line.
Right.
Come on, let's get some callers in here so we can...
Well, we know we had callers before Cliff even opened his mouth.
I know. So if that young lady is listening, please call back, 781-837-4900. You can ask a bunch of questions to Cliff, and I'll send you a gift certificate to Bertucci's.
We had 2 of them. They heard Bertucci's. They called right away. I'm like, but you have to talk.
Right.
So, you got to hear what the show's about
No,
first.
we're not here to feed the homeless or anything like that. We're here to have actual live callers call into the show, participate, and make it interesting and up the ratings, and then I'll give you a $25 gift certificate to Bertucci's. If you're really interesting, I'll send you 2 for $50, and you can take a friend.
He's on the phone now. We'll see what's happening over there. But let's see. Look at all these books. Did you take that photo on the front cover?
No, I did not.
Okay.
That's the only photo I didn't take.
Okay, because you're a photographer as well.
Not professionally.
But you do a nice job.
I did.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You should photograph those female ghosts in your bed.
You need the infrared camera or something like that.
I'll just sit back and listen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in Encounters with the Other Side, I know you personally have so many stories like that. But it is comforting to know that so many people have encounters. I don't know about you, Tom. I know you're a skeptic. You don't think anything continues when our bodies cease to be.
Okay. Longfellow Inn, Marlborough. People were in the room and they felt the presence of ghosts in that supposedly
The
haunted room at the inn.
Right.
You should visit there. It's actually a nice inn and the food's pretty good too. But
We have
taking you
we have
up there.
Kathy from Marshfield calling in.
Oh, okay. But that's you felt the presence in there. The people that were in the room with us felt cold
Yes.
spots, and
Yes.
I felt, I'm like, I'm numb. I didn't feel anything.
I think you need to be hypnotized. What do you think?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think so. That could be dangerous.
So we have Kathy with us.
Welcome, Kathy.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for calling in.
Good. I used to be skeptical, science-based brain most of my life, and I work in hospice, and my mom died a few years back, and this was my experience that totally changed my life, and I did a 180 on believing in spiritual afterlife and things like that. About a week after my mom died, I went to visit a hospice patient, and out of the blue, she said to me, Mary says hello. And I kind of shook my head, and I was surprised, and without repeating what she said, I asked her, who says hello? And she repeated, Mary, your friend. She came to see me today, and she helped me, and she said to say hello. And I think I annoyed her at that point. So I said, excuse me, and I left the woman sitting there, and I went down the hall, and I was just kind of hyperventilating, wondering, wow, that's strange. And I took a minute to myself, and then I walked up to the nurse's desk and said, is there someone here named Mary? No one named Mary there, no patients, no nurses, no employees. And so I went out to my car, and I called my boss and told her what happened, and she said, wow, that's kind of strange. So then the following week, I went in and saw the patient again, and I handed her a picture of my mother, and I without prompting her, I just asked her, who's in the picture? And she looked at the picture and looked at me, and she said, "Oh, that's Mary."
Wow.
Oh, that's a nice story.
Yeah, it is. It totally, it was a pivotal moment in my life spiritually, so I'm thankful for it. And I've had a couple of experiences after that, but that's the one I'll share.
Do you think that you're more open after that experience?
Absolutely.
More receptive?
Absolutely. It totally confirmed my belief in God and our spiritual life after this one, and it keeps me going. It gives me energy. It makes me feel like my mom really communicated to me through someone.
You should read Cliff's books. They're really
I will.
good. Really good.
I wrote his name down. I just started Googling him on the internet. I've got to get in touch with this guy.
I knew
He's
that.
a very nice man, and he's a very interesting man, even though I kind of pick on him.
Well, I pick on you.
That's true. Mary,
this is Kathy.
Who do you, Kathy, excuse me. Who do you work for in hospice?
I shouldn't say on the radio.
You can plug it if you want. It's up to you.
No, you can plug it if you want, is what he's giving you the opportunity for.
Well, I would have to get approval from my employer, but I've been working in hospice for about 12 years now, and I've always worked in healthcare. And even, growing up as a kid, and we used to kind of joke about ghosts and things like that and spook each other out. But now I know it's actually real, and there's nothing to be afraid of.
I have a question for you. Working in hospice, do you ever feel anything or witness anything by being in the hospice environment?
The most common unusual occurrence that it's quite frequent is when someone is getting close to the end of life, they see members of their family that have gone before them. Right. Very frequently that happens. It's almost a regular occurrence where I'll be sitting with a patient and they'll look behind me and say, "What's he doing here?" And there's nobody there, and I'll say, "Who is it?" And that's my husband.
Right.
Wow.
Actual occurrences have happened to me frequently in this field. There was a woman once, I'll share a little bit more, but in a different patient in a different facility, and she was actually actively dying, so very comatose and sleeping. But her eyes popped open, and she said to me, "I will walk with my daughter in the garden again someday." And I thought, boy, that's weird. But this happened after the other thing, and I thought, in the garden, that's a hymn that my mother and I enjoyed. So I thought, oh, this is interesting. I'm just going to relax and listen to what she has to say. And she went on and on and on. And one point she said, "I'm 67 years old. I'm an old woman." This woman particularly was in her late 90s, but my mother died when she was 67.
Wow.
So I felt a connection with her, too. But I don't get too excited about it. I know, there's a lot of things we don't understand, but, just to believe that this isn't it. We don't just get buried and eaten by worms after we die. Right. Our souls return again someday to, I don't know, I had this epiphany one day driving down the road. I always asked, what's the meaning? Why are we here? And maybe it was God spoke to me, or some spirit said, we're not born here. Our seasoned souls return. We come here to learn.
Right.
That's interesting.
There's a saying that says that we're just spiritual beings in a human experience. Definitely. But I hear that story all the time about patients or individuals that are ready to pass away, seeing relatives.
Yeah, it happens a lot.
Very common.
It happened at the end of my mom's life, too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
really?
She said that her mother was actually holding her and rocking her.
Right.
Yeah, I think they find great comfort in knowing that they're not alone at that point, and they can relax and just go.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, as you were talking, Kathy, Cliff is sitting here smiling and nodding his head.
I'm thinking I should be on TV so you can see me nodding my head.
He's heard it before and acknowledges, yeah, that's what happens.
Yep.
And you know how I know my mom's with me? It happened today, actually. Those little black cloth headbands that people make ponytails with, but they're covered with cloth. They're like rubber bands. And after she died, in some of her stuff, I found one of those black cloth headbands, and I thought, I didn't want to throw it away because it was hers, and it sat on my bureau. And it seems like every once in a while, regularly, one of those little black cloth headbands just pops into my path where I'm walking, and it just makes me think, "Hey, Mom."
I never see them,
Thanks.
so definitely that's your mother talking to you.
Definitely.
Yeah, and a big thing happened to me yesterday that she would have been super proud of. And today I was walking into a store and there's a little black headband, and I'm thinking, "Thank you, thanks, Mom. I know you're reaching out to me somehow, and you just happen to have me see that to know."
See, if more people could be aware of these happenings like you are now, just think how more open and what the experiences would be for everybody. It'd be fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And
It definitely lifts me up.
right. She actually brought up a good point. She talked about God and everything. And some people that look at this stuff may go, "Oh, this is terrible stuff," and everything. But in my opinion, I feel like this is part of God, part of the experience. And just as she said, I don't believe that we're born here, and I don't believe that we die and that's it. So to me, it's actually heightened my own spiritual beliefs by having these experiences.
I'm 100% on with my spirituality after that experience.
That's great. I think it's great because it eases a lot of fears and anxieties.
Absolutely.
And you don't feel as alone.
Right.
You know the people are around you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I do enjoy hearing that. But
Yeah. I remember when one of my nieces was born, she had a dimple in her chin, and my great aunt always said, "That's where your mother kissed her."
Awesome. Well, I won't keep you. Thank you
That's
for
all
letting
right.
me
Well,
Kathy, I have a
tell my
question
thank you
for
for
you.
sharing. I really appreciate it, and you are doing wonderful work in hospice. There aren't enough
Yes,
of you
you are.
out there.
Also
Kathy,
important.
Thank you very much.
Don't hang up, Kathy. I got to get
Kathy,
your
are you
information.
familiar with our newspaper at all? South Shore Senior News?
Not really.
Oh, well, you can get it if you're in Marshfield. You can pick it up, a copy of it at the beginning of every month at Roach Brothers and several other locations.
Okay, I'll look for it.
All right.
South Shore Senior News, and thank you.
And Jesse will get your information. Thanks again, Kathy. This was great.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay.
That was fantastic.
Yeah, that was really nice that she had that experience. And I do hear from hospice workers. That happens all the time.
Well, my first book, the Death Transition, I had somebody that I'd never met this person before, but he texted me. He said, "I'm on a plane heading to Dallas. My father is in hospice and he's passing away, and I'm reading your book right now, and it's really given me a lot of comfort." And then he wrote later and he says, "My father passed away, so I handed your book over to all the hospice workers, and they all read it, and they said, that's exactly what happens at our hospice." So that was really nice.
I know science has debunked those things, saying it's the natural way that the brain functions when all the systems shut down, and you're trying to explain everything through science.
Right.
But some things just can't be explained.
But some scientists now are starting to open up.
Mm-hmm.
They're starting
So
to
you
have
keep
proof.
abreast of those studies. And,
Every so often.
yeah, you check it out.
I don't really
Check
want to
it
listen
out.
to the scientists.
It looks like we have Teresa from Plymouth on the line. Teresa, are you there?
Yes, I am, please. Thank you. I would like to know your gentleman's. I'd like to know what books he has written, because I'd like to read one or two.
Well, read all four as I did.
Yes.
They're
Four of
great.
them. Wow.
He'll tell you what they are, Teresa.
Well, actually, my first
Okay.
book is The Death Transition, The Process of Passing Over.
Uh-huh.
My second one is called Encounters with the Other Side, My Experiences with After-Death Visitations. And my newest one is Journey Back, The Amazing Stories of Individuals Through Past Life Regression. So
Yeah,
there's-
very.
Okay.
Oh, there's only three. I'm thinking there were four. I'm seeing into the future. You're writing a fourth book.
I am.
See?
You're doing really good.
Wow. You're very in tune with him. You know that.
Yeah, except when the police are behind me
I
going
had
through a
some
yellow light.
experiences too.
Oh, can you tell
Excuse
us?
me, I'm sorry.
That's
you-
all right. Go ahead.
can
Kat.
you share?
Teresa.
Sure. One time when my son was quite little, actually, he was an infant, and anyway, there was. I woke up to somebody at the foot of the bed pulling very, very slowly my blanket and my sheet that was covering me. And at first I thought, well, I'm just imagining this. But I wasn't, because it kept going and going. And then finally, now mind you, this is at night. I couldn't see anything. And finally, the sheet and the blanket were as far as my hips. And I'm sleeping on my side. So I realized there's something there, but I was too frightened to look. And I put the light on. Of course, there was nothing there. But, I realized later that this was not, whatever it was, wasn't going to hurt me, because about weeks later, a week or two later, when we were able to bring my son home, he had complications when he was born. He was born too early. Anyway, we had him in an infant crib, a very tiny crib that looks like a doll's crib. And he was in front of a fireplace that wasn't on because he was born in the summer. But anyway, he was in front of this fireplace in our bedroom. Very, very old house, by the way. And and anyway, the bricks were falling one by one, and I didn't know it. And something was talking to me in my ear. I was all alone, talking in my ear, saying, "Go to the baby. You got to save the baby." So I found my son in his crib going down like the Titanic in the water, in the ocean. So I grabbed the one part of because the infant's crib was very tiny, very small, thank God, and I was able to pull him out. And there was, he would have wound down into whatever it was down underneath this very, very old house that was built in colonial times. And then there was another time. There was another time when I was going to be getting married for the second time, and I was scared, because the first marriage, I loved my children's father very, very much, but there was problems. He just wouldn't grow up. Well, anyway, I was scared. I was really scared, even though I wanted to marry this gentleman so much. I loved him, but I was frightened, because I loved the first one very, very much, and it didn't work out. Well, anyway, I was wide awake. I was not sleeping or anything. This was not at night either. And I saw this vision. It looked like it was far away, and there was like a mist all around these people that were inside, and they looked like they were in an old house with a staircase. Very, very old house, the way old houses used to be made. They always had staircases, wooden staircases. And there was my father, who passed away when he was 63, before I met my second husband. And there was my mother, who died in 1964. Today's her anniversary of death, by the way. She was only 35. And there was my stepmother, and she and my poor daddy were only married for 11 years before she died of kidney damage. Anyway, and my mother was holding a baby. My baby that had died, I had a little girl that had died when she was only 3 months old. And even though she would have been older at this time, this was her way of letting me know that it's her, because I do believe that people on the other side grow out. Well, I was told that they grow up. Little children that die, they still keep on growing up on the other side. Anyway, and they were smiling at me and waving at me. My mother, my father, and my stepmother. And I felt that they were sending me thoughts. It's okay. It's all right to marry him. You'll be all right. It will be a good marriage. And I felt so at peace after. And
so you got married.
The mist went away. The mist went away.
Excellent.
That's great.
Excellent.
It was gorgeous. I cried because of happiness.
See, the thing of it is that, we believe that people have died and that's it. They're all gone. But they're still talking, they're still guiding us and everything. If you just listen, they're all still there, pushing us along.
You're right.
And then I think they must be busy too. So how much time can they spend with us? So
probably sometimes they're going, they want something else from us.
They're so needy, these kids.
Well, I do believe my mother and my father are probably seeing my sister once in a while too, because they had 2 children, not just me. And but like I said, today's my anniversary of my mother's death, and both my sister and I, we feel it very badly because her death was not expected. She was only 35, and we practically saw her die in front of our eyes, screaming in pain. And then she was rushed to the hospital, and she died. Oh, I think it was not even an hour she died. This man comes up to us that was a doctor who we never met before and tells us that she was deceased. First time I ever heard that word. I never heard that word before.
It's terrible, and you were just so young. Terrible.
Yes.
Yeah.
And my sister and I have never really gotten over her death. I'm not saying that boo-hoo us, but it's it does give us hope, because she's not dead. She's not really gone.
Right. No,
That's right.
I get it. I get it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Teresa,
Well,
thank
even
you
though
so
I've been
much for the
feeling
call.
depressed all day today, but I feel her around me. I do.
I'm sure you do. And hopefully for the rest of your life, you'll feel her. She'll be with you.
Right.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing. That was
thank
really
you so much,
special.
Teresa.
And
Yes, thank you. Thank you for listening to me.
And yeah,
It was a
I'm
pl- it was-
glad
it was
you're going to
interesting.
get Cliff's books. You'll find them fascinating.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so
Really.
much. Yes, I'm
Enjoy.
sure I will.
Teresa, hang on the line. Don't hang up. I got to get your information, okay?
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Teresa.
Welcome. Thank you.
Well, this time has gone by fast.
It's over?
Yes.
No, just one break, and then we'll be back for a couple of minutes.
No, let's just
No,
wrap
we're
up
gonna-
and we'll just end it with the break.
We're ending
just gonna-
it with a break. Oh,
We're going to end it with a
boy.
break. So we got 2 more minutes, and then we'll go to break, and then that'll be the end of the show.
I'm sad.
That's what happens. We're having such fun and everything,
know.
and then suddenly
I
it's
know.
all over.
We'll have to get a bigger show.
I guess so.
I guess so.
We'll have you back again, Cliff. You're always a hit.
I would
So
enjoy
that's
that.
a promise. And we can talk more ghost stories.
Yeah,
How's that?
those are interesting stories from the
Mind
callers.
Balance
Hypnosis.
Hypnosis.com. It's Cliff Aguirre. And
That's
give
right.
him a call. He'll help you with your stress and bring you back to lives you didn't know you lived.
That's right.
And here's your father's song he
Oh,
wrote.
right.
He's with you now.
Good, thanks.
Right.
We'll just listen for a little bit, and then we'll sign off.
It must have been intended so by heaven. Well,
We want to thank Cliff for being on our show. Cliff, thanks so much. It was fascinating having you on. And
Thanks.
thank you to the callers for calling into our show. I'll get those gift certificates out to you. Next week, we are back at our regular time, 7 to 8, and our guest will be Denise Noble, who will be discussing ageism in the workplace. We are Tom and Patti, and you're listening to My Generation, brought to you by the South Shore Senior News, sponsored by Bertucci's of Hingham here at 95.9 FM WATD. See you next week, and thanks so much for the call-ins.